Well, it's been an interesting day. I did not leave the house today. I have been isolating at home and thinking and reading and learning about this virus. And there have been a lot of very scary things that I've been reading, and I'm trying to not let myself get freaked out by it. I'm trying to let myself figure out what I need to do, what we need to do. I'm going to start tweeting out some of the more productive, less inflammatory, less doomsday scenario-like videos that I find on my Twitter @TomGreenLive. And I might even post some stuff on Instagram as well @TomGreen, but mostly on Twitter for information. Today on the show, Harland Williams is going to be here, and he's going to be calling in. He is also isolating at his home in Los Angeles. And Harland Williams is a very good friend of mine. We have known each other for a long time, but I was a fan first. When I was 16 years old, I was doing stand-up comedy as an open micer at Yuck Yucks in Ottawa, Canada, and Harland Williams was headlining superstar comedian, and he was my favorite comedian in the world. Still is. And I would go down there and just watch him every 6 months when he came through town with amazement. I couldn't believe how much of a world it opened up for me, really. The world of stand-up, but also just the way Harland did stand-up. The possibilities seemed really endless. The possibilities seemed endless when you watched him because he was just so out of the box with his comedy, shattering all the rules of the way stand-up was being done. So I loved it, and it made me want to become a comedian. Harland was one of the influences that really made me want to be a comedian. And here we are 32 years later. We just actually had to postpone our shows in Calgary that we were performing together, headlining together, co-headlining. It was going to be a lot of fun, but we will come back. In the meantime, we're here and we're trying to figure this out, and we want to figure it out with you guys. I'm trying to figure out if I can get booze delivered, by the way, because I'm not leaving the house, and I figure if I can get booze delivered safely to the house, that maybe I could start drinking more. I don't know that I have enough booze to really be able to ration my way through this for a very long period of time. Harland is an outrageous and very silly and ridiculous and out-of-the-box comedian. You all know him and love him from shows like Half-Baked and Rocket Man, and his new show that he is producing, Puppy Dog Pals, an amazing animated kids show on Disney. You know Harland from his many comedy specials and his incredible stand-up comedy tours. But he's also one of the smartest guys I know and a very thoughtful person. And we walked the line today on the show of not wanting to be too silly because we're going through something that has never happened before in our lifetime right now, something that is completely unknown to all of us, and it's a serious situation and people are getting sick. So, but we did also, and I did talk to Harland before he called in, and I told him, let's have some fun too, because nobody wants to listen to me and Harland Williams have a conversation being all serious. So I think we walked the line well, and I think this is what this show is going to be. In the long run, it's going to evolve into a place where we find a tone to it. Yesterday, I had my mother on the show, we talked for almost an hour, and I was trying to find that tone there. I wanted to have some fun with my mom and pushing her buttons and goofing around a little bit, because my mother's, of course, understandably worried right now and isolating in Canada. And we talk all day, and we just can't believe this is happening. But at the same time, I want this show to be fun. I want you guys to listen. I want it to be an entertaining thing for you guys to listen to, while hopefully I'm able to impart some information and get some great people on here. So Harland is going to be calling any moment, and we'll be talking to him for the show. And tomorrow we'll have another show. I don't know who's going to be on the show tomorrow, but any moment now the phone is going to ring, and it will be my good friend Harland Williams. Here he is now, actually. Let's see if this works. Hello, Harland.
Hey, buddy, how are ya?
I'm doing good. As considering the circumstances, I haven't left my house in 3 days, basically, and I'm here. I'm quarantined. I'm self-isolating, and
Wow.
And can you believe it's come to this?
Actually, I can believe it's come to this. Absolutely.
Are you afraid?
Not really. I've kind of been thinking like something like this would happen since I was a little kid. So, I mean, a little bit of anxiety maybe, but not really afraid.
Are you prepared?
Are you afraid?
I am a little bit afraid. I have some fear. Yes, I do.
Whoa.
Yes, but I tend to be somebody that can find fear in a lot of things. But yeah, I'm a little bit afraid. Yeah, I am. I'm sad that this is happening in our lifetime right now, and we're having to experience this. But are you prepared?
Yes, I'm as prepared as possibly I could be, both physically and mentally. And, I'm one of these guys that prepared probably a long time ago. I've always kind of had a feeling something like this could happen quite easily. And so as you know, I bought a big box of emergency food many years ago, and it's been stored in my house. You know, the powdered the powdered envelopes, 3 months worth of food.
So have you kicked into that now? Are you eating that already?
No. That's you kind of use that once the available resources are gone or inaccessible. So
that would be a mistake that'd be a mistake to kind of get a little ahead of yourself and just start eating the powdered meals ready to eat right away.
Yeah, that's for when things really go off the rails. Right now we're still totally functional as a society. We can go get food, we can go get groceries, so the emergency supply food is for when, the days come, if they come, that they shut everything down. It's too dangerous to walk in the street. Should chaos ensue and mob mentality rule, then I've got the safety box of grub, which if you can get to my house, you're welcome to share with me.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate that offer and that kind gesture. Absolutely. And I'll take you up on that. But listen, Harland, I'm saying, have you got have you gone and gotten some supplies of some decent food too, and some stuff to eat over the next few weeks or however long that we have to be going through this?
Yeah, I do have quite a stockpile of non-perishable foods.
So what kind of food? What kind of food did you get?
I've got probably about a month's worth of the, the little, they have these little meals in a plastic food tray that you can seal. It's like a
TV dinner?
No, it's not a TV dinner. They're kind of interesting little meals. I don't know if a lot of people know about them, but they're they're basically in a plastic dish, and
Yeah.
they're sealed in, and they have everything from beef stroganoff to Thanksgiving turkey dinner with the stuffing and gravy.
Oh my gosh!
All in one. They're actually quite delicious, but there's a lot of salt in them.
Wow, you're gonna be eating better than before this happened.
Well, I'll be eating it, except for all that salt. I don't want to. That's the only thing. They're high in salt because they're meat, and they're full course meals, and you basically can heat them in a microwave in 1 minute, and they're ready.
Okay.
Meatloaf and potatoes, and it's kind of like a TV dinner that's not frozen. I don't know how they do it, but so I have about a month worth of those, and I've got tons of canned stuff. I've got tons of the macaroni and cheese by Kraft.
Yeah.
I've got giant boxes of Pop-Tarts and granola bars, and I've got
nice
all kinds of stuff in the freezer, so I'm good to go, bud.
Now, is that what you normally eat?
No, every now and then I'll eat one of those little TV dinners I told you about. Well, I go to Burning Man every year, and I usually take a bunch of those in the trailer, so when I'm out like having fun till 4 a.m, I can come back to the trailer and have a Thanksgiving dinner.
Now let me ask you this, because I'm a little, and I don't want to make this like all serious, but I mean this is a serious situation. We sort of talked about this earlier, briefly, because I'm going to broadcast here from from the podcast studio every day as long as I'm here in this situation is going on. And I want the show to be fun, right? We want the show to be fun. We're a couple of goofballs, right? We like having fun, but obviously we don't want to look like we're taking not taking this seriously. So let me just ask you this: like, are you feeling that you can still go out on your own to the grocery store and not risk catching this virus, or are you limiting the amount you personally go outside now? Because I'll say what I'm doing first. I don't want to go outside right now. I don't want to get sick, and I don't want to. I don't even know if maybe you could have it and be asymptomatic. So I just don't want to go out right now, and so I'm staying in, and that's the way I'm handling it at this point. I feel like probably in a couple of weeks we're not even going to be allowed to go out. But like, how do you feel? How do you feel right now? Like when you go out in Los Angeles, we both live in Los Angeles. How many times a day are you going out? Where are you going? Do you feel safe? Do you feel like, are you washing your hands? Are you using hand sanitizer? Are you disinfecting things? Are you wearing gloves? What is your process right now? And what do you recommend people do? That are going through what we're going through right now.
Well, right now I'm doing the math in my own head, and I don't know the exact numbers, obviously. I don't think anybody does, to be honest. But I think the latest number I saw on the media was there's something like 2,000 or 7,000. Let's be generous and say there's 10,000 known cases in the USA. With more to be announced as they do more testing, but that's 10,000 versus 400 million human beings. Yeah.
Now here's the thing. Here's the thing, though, that is worrisome. Okay, and I have been reading far too much. I don't know how much of the information I've retained or how much I could repeat off the top of my head. But here's what's worrisome. The reason those numbers are so low is because, currently we're not doing very much testing. So in places like South Korea, where they were doing massive amounts of testing and the numbers were much higher, much quicker, it wasn't because more people were infected, it just means they tested more. So those numbers could be as much as 10 times as high as that, even more. And they are potentially growing exponentially, perhaps doubling every day. So let's imagine there's 100,000 people right now in America, or in North America and Canada and America that have this, and that number's doubling every day. You're very quickly at 1 million people just in a matter of a few days. So this is kind of what's worrisome, and why I'm really trying to encourage people, including you, right? Including you, because we're very close friends. You're one of my best friends. I've got very few friends as close of a friend as close of a friend as you, right? There's a handful of people in my life that I've known as long as you, right? I care about you, Harland. I love you.
Thank you.
I love you.
Likewise.
I love you, Jerry.
Yes. Thanks. Finally, he says it.
Yeah.
Wow.
I love you. Well,
Finally.
it took a pandemic to say my what I feel. But the thing is,
it took a pandemic for you to express how very, very important I am to you. Thank you, pandemic.
Yeah.
God,
well, no, I mean,
so empty.
I've told you that before. I'm not the kind of we don't have the kind of relationship where we tell each other that we love each other all the time. But
no, we're not.
But
we're not lovers. We're both straight men.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's kind of like a bro. I love you. Like, I love you, buddy. But you know that we really love each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I got you.
Exactly. You know what I'm talking about. We don't have to explain this to each other, but maybe to the audience.
Yeah, we don't need to get in a sleeping bag and go camping together. We can just say it.
Yeah.
I love you, buddy.
Yeah, I love you too, man. I love you, and I don't want you to be affected by this. So
maybe I love you a little bit more than you love me. I don't know. I love you maybe a bit more.
No,
I
love you more.
I think maybe I just upped my love a little more, so I'm at 11. You might be at a 10. I think I love you more, bro.
No, I love you more. Listen, the thing is,
I'm making a butter carving of you right now.
Okay.
Now, if that doesn't say I love you more than you love me, then you can go, fuck you, I hate you now.
Yeah,
okay?
no. Yeah,
I hate you because you love me more.
Well,
I
no.
hate you.
No. Let's not get carried away here. I think.
Okay.
So
it's the virus. I'm on the edge.
I think you won at the butter carving. I think you proved your point at the butter carving. But the thing is, I don't think we can sort of take risk being wrong about this idea that maybe there's only 7,000 people in the whole country. Let's say there is 10 times more, and we'll find that out relatively quickly because the symptoms really become much more apparent after about a week, 5 days actually. I looked at a really interesting video about this today. I'm going to actually tweet it out after the podcast, but it shows a sort of a graph of exactly this, of how you can actually estimate right now based on certain mathematical algorithms, which are not things, I'm not really that good at math and stuff, but it's basically saying that the numbers could be 10 times as high or even much higher than that, specifically because we've done very, very, very little testing in America. They've actually done about the same amount of testing in Canada, numbers of tests, as they've done in America at this point. That's changing quickly, but it's a scary situation. And so all I'm saying is I'm advising to my friends and to the listeners today, just get yourself situated. If the grocery stores are still open, take some hand sanitizer, some Lysol, go down to the grocery store quickly, get some stuff that you need, get some supplies, and hunker down and stay in until we get figure out an idea of how bad this really is. That's all I'm saying. Yeah,
it makes sense. I mean, limit what you have to do, where you have to go. Obviously, I went out the other day and I wore the blue surgical gloves.
Yeah.
And I went over to the main grocery store, and there was a 24-hour grocery store here in L.A., and they had created new hours, so it didn't open till 8 a.m. I woke up early to get to the store ahead of the crowd, so I was driving home thinking, what do I do? And I saw this big, shiny, white and green sign. It said 7-Eleven.
Uh-huh.
And I said, they sometimes have groceries, don't they? And I went into 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
And they're like a mini grocery store. I went in and out 3 times, filled up my car, because they got those little baskets in 7-Eleven. They don't have shopping carts, but they have the little red baskets. So
and you had your rubber gloves.
I went in and got my drink.
Yeah.
Then I went in and got my canned goods. Then I went in and got my frozen White Castle burgers and my waters. And I made 3 trips wearing blue gloves at 7-Eleven, and there was no crowd at all. There was a few construction workers getting coffee.
Yeah, this is what I did. I don't have the rubber gloves, but I ran down to the store with my travel Lysol spray, which I'm starting to run low on, and I walked up to the grocery store and I sprayed the handle of the. This was yesterday. I went down for some last minute rations. I sprayed the handle of the grocery cart. I wiped it off with a cloth that I'd brought with me. I went in a very quick, 20-minute sort of grocery store dash, picked up all the things I needed. I left. I came home. When I got home, I had my hand sanitizer too. So the second, I had to pick up all the food in the store. And then as I put it in the cart, and when I was done, I made point to not touch my face the entire time. And then when I left, I immediately washed with the hand sanitizer. I did that actually a couple times during the shopping trip as well. Came home, Lysol sprayed the door handle of my car, and then most of the things that I got on this trip were actually things for the freezer. So I felt that would be good also for killing viruses. I came home, I immediately put the stuff in my freezer. And then I took all of the clothes that I was wearing and I burned them, actually. I started a small fire in the backyard by the pool, and I lit them with gasoline, and I burned them. And then no, I didn't do that. I did put them in a closet, though. I put them in a closet that I'm not going to go to, and then I took a shower.
Wow. Well, see, what's interesting is, people probably have the illusion that once they get the groceries home, they're safe, but who knows how long the virus lives on the front of this Lucky Charms box that the grocery handler put on the shelf.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you bring it home, and then you're like, I made it home from the grocery store safe and sound. You go and pick up your lucky, or in this case, unlucky charms.
Yes.
You pour yourself a bowl of yellow moons, frosted moons, and red diamonds and green clovers, and next thing you know, you're puking up blood. It's like so.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's so scary that you have to laugh at it. Plus, the unlucky charms thing. I mean, how can you not?
Well, I think you gotta laugh at it.
Yeah.
My motto is I did a podcast the other day, and my whole podcast was a humorous attack on this whole situation because I think, and I understand this is a different tone, and I'm respecting that as much as I can. I think you can get the sense that I'm fighting back the comedy.
No. I don't want you to hold back in any way. I just want to make sure that our listeners understand that even though we're joking around, that this is something serious, and we don't want people to go get hurt.
Serious, and I do take it serious, but to the point of humor, I think one of the things comedians help offer is humor helps calm the soul. I think it helps people adjust. And I had several people tweeting me and emailing me, fans saying, I stopped doing my podcast in June. I canceled it.
Yeah. And
people were saying, hey, we need something to laugh at. This is horrible. We're getting depressed. And so I did a podcast on the whole virus thing, and I just released it yesterday just to kind of help alleviate some of this pressure. But
and that's the Harland Highway.
No matter how funny you are, you have to acknowledge that this is real and serious, and got to be smart about it.
Yeah, the Harland Highway, right?
Yeah, the Harland Highway.
And that's on your website, harlandwilliams.com. And
yeah, it's on my Twitter feed. I'm not trying to promote it, to be honest. I was just mentioning it that my point is not
don't
to promote
watch.
it, but just
Nobody
to
watch.
say, we have to also.
Yeah.
It's like when you go to a funeral. There's always someone at a funeral that cracks a joke about dead Uncle Bert because it just breaks up the tension, and I think the human psyche needs to laugh at things even when they're dire.
You've been doing stand-up comedy for how many years now?
God, I think almost 30, buddy.
Yeah, I remember. No, more than that. I'm afraid to say, Harland, more than that, because I would have watched you live at Ottawa's Yuck Yucks
Oh God!
when I would say I was 16 years old, and that would have been 32 years ago.
Oh my God! Well, let's get back to the virus.
What I wanted to say.
Why do I have to? Why do we have to bring my old age into this?
Well,
now?
no, I mean,
God.
I was doing amateur night at the time, so I've been doing stand-up for about that long too. It's not about age. What I wanted to say was, is you've been doing this for a long time, entertaining people, and these kinds of things happen. Over the last 30 years, we had 9/11, right? A horrible tragedy, a scary situation. This actually feels probably like the closest thing to 9/11. I actually feel like this may actually end up being, more impactful on our economy and all of these things. Who's to say? But it definitely feels like 9/11 right now, what's happening. It's the only time in my lifetime I remember feeling anything like the way I feel now. Have you remembered? Do you remember other times that there have been tragedies and things that have gone on where you've had to go on stage and make people laugh? And how do you do that?
Yeah, I've been in Los Angeles when I first moved to Los Angeles 60 years ago or whatever it was you said. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
But when I got here, I think within the first year, it was the Northridge earthquake, followed by the LA riots, followed by the mudslides, the fires, and then OJ. So
wow.
I remember during the LA riots driving to the comedy club down Sunset Boulevard and passing tanks in the street with soldiers and passing grocery stores with armed military units in the parking lot set up. The sky was black, ashes were falling, gangs were roaming the streets, lighting buildings on fire. I mean, talk about the apocalypse. It was insane.
Yeah.
So I've been through a lot of stuff, and during all of that, I always did stand up. Always tried to find a funny side of it that kept people's spirits up.
You know what's interesting is, this is probably the first time in those 30 years for you where you haven't been able to go do stand-up because all the comedy clubs are closed.
That's right. That's never happened before. I just, guys like you and me, we plan our years out. We kind of plan our years out, and we have a whole calendar booked with shows. If you go to any of our websites, you'll see, April, May, June, July, August, all the way to December. We have shows booked all over the country, all over the world. And as far as I know, all those shows are canceled.
Yeah, we were scheduled.
We can't work.
Yeah, we were scheduled to do shows together in Calgary this week. I guess it would be right now, or would have been last weekend. Those were closed. Those were delayed. But so what I find interesting about it, another thing that's interesting about that is we are living in this new world now there where we do have podcasting and internet and social media, and we're all hunkering down at home and self-isolating at home, but we're able to get on the internet and do funny, entertaining things, hopefully to try to make our friends and followers laugh without having to without going to a comedy club, right? Now it's not going to nothing's going to
add on to that is for as long as the internet lasts.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be Mr. Doomsday, but
yeah.
If they start closing schools and restaurants and movie theaters and everything else, it's like it's not illogical to think that at some point maybe the internet shuts down, and I hope the power stations don't shut down. And if that kind of stuff starts happening, that's when you're going to start to see probably the primal side of humanity start to bubble to the surface, and things can go from civil to uncivil in the blink of an eye. I always say to people, there's a very thin line between civilized human beings and people living in chaos.
Yeah.
And so we're kind of in a little bit of that, the early stages of that gray area, and God forbid it gets crazier, but you never know.
It's certainly motivation for the government, the powers that be, the computer and internet companies, and to stay up and running, because that's going to keep people calm, I think, giving us the ability to interact with each other. The problem is everybody's taking off work. When people take off work, things begin to break down. You could sort of imagine a scenario where maybe things go down at some of the cell phone companies, at the server companies, at the we can't go you might start seeing some sort of power failures and electrical grid failures if this goes on for as long as some people are saying it could go on. But back to the comedy club stuff, because this is kind of a really tragic thing for everybody that works in the service industry and restaurants and comedy clubs that we perform in, like the Comedy Store here in Los Angeles, or the Laugh Factory, or the Improvs, or all the independent comedy clubs that we go to all over the country and the world. They're essentially restaurants as well, and they're all out of business for now. And it's a real tragedy. What do you think is going to happen? What's the impact going to be on the comedy business? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, I think, assuming that we get through this and we get to the other side of it, I think it will rise up again. I think it'll cull the herd a little bit, not just in comedy, but in all areas of life. I think maybe comedians that weren't really as established or didn't make a proper living at it might get culled out of the herd, and I think if we do get to the other side, I think stand-up comedy will emerge stronger than ever. It's kind of like in the Great Depression. They said one of the industries that never really faltered, despite having no money, human beings flocked to the movie theaters during the Great Depression because humans need to be stimulated. Humans need to laugh. Humans need to be uplifted. And so I think even after 9/11, I remember there being a big spike in the comedy club scene. People, laughter is the best medicine is not just a saying. It's true. People laughing and expressing, laughter, it heals. It heals the soul. It helps us cope. So I think comedy clubs will be okay once we get through to the other side. And you have to ask yourself, if we get to the other side, who knows? Yeah,
it's interesting that you say that, because I was reading today, I forget where I was reading it, somewhere on my phone, obviously, because you're always flipping around on the phone reading stuff. But I was reading today that the bubonic plague was in some ways directly responsible for the Renaissance movement, and where art and literature and completely changed, because people had just spent all of this time in quarantine and forced to think about what it meant to be a human being. And I actually really do believe that even though this is a huge tragedy and this is going to get worse and we're just at the beginning of it and it's so horrible and scary, I do believe that something will come of this, that we'll learn something from this as a society.
Oh, yeah. I think, even at this level, like right now, I'd say we're at a level 1 out of total upheaval and social anarchy. I'd say we're at a level 1 out of 10, but even at a level 1, I think it causes people to be introspective and reflect, and hopefully it lets them step back and lets them see how stupid their lives are that revolve around owning a Gucci handbag and a Lamborghini and wearing an Italian suit and all these ridiculous things that human beings dance around and kind of use to kind of muddy their sense of reality. I think events like these maybe humanize us in a way, and in a way, in a tragic way, they're probably healthy to a degree, because they strip us of all the shiny objects we own or want to own, and they remind us that we're really just a skeletal frame with flesh and bones and a brain and a heart and a soul, and the only thing we really need is each other and the will to survive, and all this other stuff is just a lot of junk.
Yeah, and toilet paper. We need toilet paper.
Well, I don't know that you need toilet. That's what's kind of cracking me up. Everyone's making a run on toilet paper, and it's like, in case you don't know, I'm not a teacher, but you can pretty much wipe your butt with anything short of a cactus. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
The drapes, you can cut the drapes into 1,000 little slices. You could rip the upholstery from your couch and cut. You could
I've done it.
Strip the leaves off your maple tree and wipe your ass until trees stop growing. I mean, let's
I've done that.
Sure, we've all been camping. I mean, everyone's wiped their ass with a leaf. It's sometimes you get caterpillars in your crack, but it still almost feels refreshing because they've been blowing in the wind and they're already pine scented. So it's a win-win. But don't get so wrapped up in toilet paper.
Yeah.
People are fighting over toilet. If that doesn't tell us just how stupid we've become as humans, nothing else will. I mean, good Lord, wrestling in the aisles over rolls of paper. You know what? Take the Charles Dickens novel off your shelf. You probably got 300 pages to wipe your ass with there. How about Stephen King's The Stand is a 400-page novel? That's 400 wipes right there. I mean, God.
Probably the best thing it's good for.
Yeah, relax, everyone.
Yeah. No, I like Stephen King, actually. I was just trying to make a joke.
I know. It could be. You got to make them. They could be some of our last.
I loved the Norm Macdonald joke on his Instagram this week. Our friend Norm Macdonald, where he said that he feels like we're living in a Stephen King novel, right?
Right. Well, yeah, a lot of Stephen. Actually, I referenced the book The Stand, and Stephen King's book The Stand is exactly what's happening right now, but at a 10 out of 10. His book is about a virus that gets out and drops almost the majority of the population in their tracks.
Isn't it interesting that we can see these shows and these movies, and there's been many of them, over the years, and then when it actually happens, right? This is actually happening. When I watch The Stand, you're watching it, it's fantasy, and you're thinking, okay, well, that could never happen. You sort of in the back of your mind know, well, it could happen, but it's not going to happen. It's probably not going to happen. And now here we are, and it's kind of happening, right?
Right. Well, I've always been of the school that it probably will happen.
Yeah.
You said you thought it probably never would happen, but when you asked me at the beginning of the show if I was nervous and scared, I remember thinking about this from when I was a little boy, anticipating that one day we'd all be kind of these vagabond wanderers fighting for ourselves in a decimated wasteland.
Yeah.
And,
well, I would say
it might have even been a fantasy of mine, to be honest. But
freedom, complete freedom, no rules. Anarchy.
Well, it's also plays. As human beings, we've become this species that lives longer than we were biologically probably supposed to. People who are sick live longer. The weak live longer, and we've figured out how to save, serve, and protect all human beings, which is a good thing. But in the realm of nature taking its course, we're kind of an anomaly. We're kind of a weird kind of species that maybe is cheating nature to a degree. And so when something like this happens, and if it goes to a 10 out of 10, suddenly you're in the real natural order where it's survival of the fittest. And so it's interesting. But we've become very dependent and expectant on being taken care of and living longer and all these things. And so we're a bit of an abomination when it comes to the natural order of nature.
Does it kind of feel sometimes like the world is, like the planet maybe, is getting back at us?
No, because I don't think the world has any cruel intentions. The world is neutral. I think it's humans getting back at themselves. Humans have run amok, and they've ignored and destroyed the environment, and like I said, we've probably overpopulated, and we've probably done a trillion things that we shouldn't have done, and we've kind of come to our own kind of destruction in a way.
I sometimes think that this is going to, just over the last couple of days, I've been thinking that this is going to change a lot of people's minds about the way they think about the world, right? Like, just, I feel like it makes the world seem, I mean, I know because we travel a lot, right? We travel.
Right.
We've been, you've been everywhere. You went on that world tour a couple of years ago where you went to, the Taj
I've been
Mahal
all over
and
the world.
the pyramids, and you've been all over, the Machu Picchu. You know that you
Africa, everywhere.
Yeah,
Amazon rainforest,
Yeah.
you name it, I've been there.
You know that you can get on an airplane and the next day be eating lunch at the pyramids, right? You know that.
Yeah.
But most people don't know that. And now this is something that I think is going to maybe make people realize the world is a lot smaller than they thought it was. That, just a couple of weeks ago, this thing was over in China, in Wuhan. Oh, it's not going to affect me. And then now, what? Did the wind blow it over here? What happened? Someone got on an airplane and now everybody's sick? It just seems like it kind of might make people think a little bit more about what we do to the planet in general.
Yeah, it just shows how fragile it is and how easy it can happen. And I hate to say it, but when this thing passes, which I think it will, I don't want everything I say to sound negative or anything, but I actually believe we'll survive this. And I hate to say it, but I think a month after it's cleared up, it's going to be Cheesecake Factory and Gucci handbags back to normal again.
Yeah. I hate
to say it, but that's the reality. People just
unless the cheese,
and in a way, maybe that's the way it has to be. I mean, what are we supposed to do? Just mope about it and stay in isolation forever? Like, bad example, but look at Hiroshima. There's a place that was leveled by, nuclear mushrooms, and people emerged from the nuclear ash, and now it's a thriving society, and things move on. It's weird. We're almost like the Homo sapien cockroaches of the planet, where everyone gives insects and cockroaches credit. Oh, they could survive a nuclear war, and cockroaches will outlive everything. But us humans, we kind of made it through a lot, man. We've made it through the plague and the ice age and nuclear wars and world wars, and we're pretty resilient. So I think things may alter a bit for a while, but I don't think, in my mind, this isn't the one that puts the nail in the human coffin. I think, it sets us off a little bit for a while, and it could get worse, or it could be gone in a month, but I don't think it's the be-all and end-all virus.
On that note, I think we should end on a positive note. I think that is a great way to end.
I think there's one better way to end.
What's that, Jerry?
I love you, Jerry.
I love you too, Jerry.
Wow, what a great ending. You want to go camping when this is over?
Absolutely, yeah. Let's go camp outside the old Cheesecake Factory down on Sepulveda. All right, Harland.
Well, we're going to get through this, Jerry, and hopefully we helped your listeners.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you calling in. I know we've all got lots of things to do right now, but I appreciate it, and I do really love you and appreciate your friendship, Harland, and be safe, okay?
Sure.
We'll definitely be talking throughout this whole thing, and I got your back, buddy.
I got yours too, my friend. Like I said, I've been planning for this my whole life.
All right, Jerry.
All right, buddy. Godspeed. Be safe, and happy holidays.
All right. Thanks, bud. Talk soon. Bye.
Bye, Jerry.
Bye. Harland Williams. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Tom Green Podcast. I'll be podcasting tomorrow and the next day and the day after that, but hopefully not for too long. Hopefully soon enough, this scary virus will be stopped and we can get back to our normal routines. It does feel like it's going to be a little bit longer than we would all hope. I don't want to make any sort of guesses as to how long we all think this is going to happen, or how long I think this is going to happen, but I've read so many different things on the internet. I think one thing that I've decided is that we have to somehow find a balance between the worst case scenario and the best case scenario. The best case scenario, you hear people saying, oh, it's just like the flu, it's going to go away, it's seasonal, there's only so many cases, you're not going to get it. If you get it, you're not going to get sick enough, you're not going to die. But I think we have to really stop and say to ourselves right now, as a society, everybody has to take this seriously. Let's not be going out and partying with our friends. Let's stay home, at least for the next week while we get more information. I think that in a week from now, we could hopefully be saying, oh, it's not as bad as we thought it was going to be. But what if? What if in a week from now we're saying, oh no, I can't believe I went out for a walk last week, or I went to the grocery store, or went to that house party and hung out with all those people. A week from now, that could seem like the craziest thing we could ever do. So why don't we just wait for a week and see how fast this virus is spreading? I can't even believe I'm saying this right now, honestly. That's the thing that happens when these kinds of crazy things happen in life. You know, this year I had 2 very close friends passed away. And every day I wake up and at some point during the day, here now, 6 months later, I say, oh my God, I can't believe John is gone. My good friend, John Ferret, who I loved and worked with and played with and was very close with for so many years. My good friend Howard Lapidus as well. My manager that brought the Tom Green show to the United States and got it on MTV. Both of them passed away within a week of each other. And I miss them every day. And some days, for a minute, I forget that they're gone. And then I remember and I think, oh my gosh, John and Howard are gone. And then the next thing I say is, I can't believe this is happening. I can't believe they're gone. I can't believe I can't pick up the phone and call them right now and share a laugh or tell them something that happened to me that day. That's the way I feel right now about this situation that we're all finding ourselves in. I get up in the morning and I immediately remember what's happening, and it's like you're surprised all over again. I can't believe this is actually happening. I would watch shows and movies about this kind of thing, and you never thought it would actually happen. I knew it was possible. I honestly always thought that there was more of a possibility of a nuclear war or of climate change speeding up to the point that we couldn't stop it. And I actually still do think that those are really big possibilities. And I think that if there's any takeaway from these events that have happened this past week and what we're going through right now is maybe all people, all humans on this one planet that we have will stop and think, maybe the world is a lot smaller than I had imagined just a few days ago. The fact that a virus can be on the other side of the planet and then travel all the way over here to us very quickly. The planet is not that big. We need to protect it. We need to look after it. We need to prioritize the important things in life and maybe give up on some of the frivolous things. I think Harland said it better than I could. And I really enjoyed having him on the show today. The great Harland Williams, thank you. And thank you to everybody listening to this podcast. Please try to take any bits of information that you might find that you think will be helpful to you or your family or your friends, and just verbally spread it and text it and tell people. Let people know what they need to do. If you have a friend that doesn't seem to understand how serious this is, let them know. Let them know. Let people know. We'll see you tomorrow. Be safe.